there, I'm Sarah A. Chrisman, the author of The Tales of Chetzemoka, and today I'm going to tell you about refrigeration in the 19th century. In The Tales of Chetzemoka, when one of my characters refers to a refrigerator, or they're using a refrigerator, they mean one of these. The term for it got changed in the 20th century when electric refrigerators started being sold and got really popular. The old word shifted over to those, and people started calling these ice boxes. But in the 19th century, this was a refrigerator. These came in a lot of different sizes. There were little tiny ones for bachelors like Felix, and there were much bigger ones than this for restaurants and hospitals, places that needed to feed a lot of people. And they run on ice. So there is an ice compartment in here that's lined with metal. And it was in a different location in different models. In this particular model, it's over here. So the milk and meat, anything that needs to stay really, really cold, goes in with the ice directly. And then because heat rises and cold sinks, the next coldest place is the compartment directly under that. And then here, and then this compartment is the warmest compartment. It's cold, slightly warmer, warmest. So this is where the vegetables go. And then at the back of the metal-lined compartment, there is a tube that lets the ice melt, so that when water comes out, it travels down that tube and goes to a tray at the bottom of here that I empty out every day. The ice that we can get at our local grocery store is what's called soft ice. It's dripping. It's ice that is frozen to just below freezing. It doesn't last very long, unfortunately. I have to get more every day or couple of days, depending on the season, and we have to refill the ice box. Because, again, it's soft ice. It's not frozen to a really low temperature. Back in the 19th century, in Chetzemoka, where my characters are living, and also just in the real world, people would have been getting what's called hard ice. So that was frozen to a much, much lower temperature, much lower below zero. And pretty much the only people still using hard ice are the folks who make ice sculptures for parties. And the closest one of them is several hours away, so I can't go there all the time, unfortunately. But in the 19th century, you could get hard ice delivered to your door every week, and people did. That was just the absolute standard thing, that everyone had ice delivered once a week, and they could specify to the iceman how much they needed. Now, by the 1890s, this ice that was being delivered to them was a lot of it produced in really big factories. Some of it was still being naturally harvested, but by the 1890s they had some really large-scale artificial refrigeration that they could make artificial ice. And a lot of cities would have an ice works, just like they had a gas works. They would have a place where they made ice. Port Townsend had one. And before that technology came along, people were harvesting ice from natural frozen lakes in cold climates and shipping it all over the place. In the early 19th century, I believe it was 1806, they started this. They started a frozen water trade where they would harvest ice in the cold months in northern climates and then ship it all over the world. And that got really fun because when the ships that had brought down the ice to all the tropical countries came back home, they weren't going to just have empty ships coming home, so they would bring tropical fruits back with them. And that's why in the Tales of Chetzemoka you have Ken munching on bananas all the time, or Sophie longing for oranges because her family's really poor. And so there was this big global economy of trade of really exotic foods that became not so exotic thanks to the frozen water trade. And in fact, by the late 1880s, there's a great Good Housekeeping article where they said the banana has replaced the apple as America's fruit of choice already in the 1880s. And besides ice being transported all over the world, it would of course be saved in the places where they harvested it. They would have special ice houses that were very well insulated, often underground. They would dig holes because things stay colder under the ground, and they would put the ice down there to keep. And even in prehistory, people were bringing ice down from high elevations in mountaintops. And in Three Women a Wheel, there's a great scene where Ethel, Addie, and Lizzie are all on Mount Rainier, and Addie gets really excited because she finds some snow that hasn't melted yet, and they bring that to the inn where they're staying, and they pour maple syrup on it, or is it, no, sorry, brown sugar. They put brown sugar on it, and they just eat it up, which was, I mean, that's an old tradition. And if it didn't happen to be snowing where you were, and there were no mountaintops available, you could take your ice from the Iceman and put it into an ice cream maker with your sugar and milk and have a frozen treat that way. So basically the bottom line to remember when all's said and done is that from refrigeration to tropical fruits, a lot of the foods that people tend to think are modern conveniences have been enjoyed around the world for a very long time. And so when you're reading historical fiction or thinking about history, don't restrict your mind too much. Be aware that people had a lot of things available to them. And it's fun to realize that and think about how much we have in common with people throughout history. Thank you for watching today. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please remember to give it a nice thumbs up, and remember to tell your friends about my books. Happy reading.
One fine day the sun was shining hot. Jane was standing on the corner lot. Saw the Iceman slowly going by. As he looked, he winked his eye. After that, in any kind of weather, he and Jane would always be together, till one night he called her his divinity, also his affinity. The Iceman is a nice man,